For one whose mind is unstable, who does not know the true teachings, and whose faith is wavering, wisdom does not reach perfection. Welcome to the Good Buddhism. I am to shine. Roughly speaking, faith is what makes something real and true. In other words, through faith, we perceive something ultimate beyond objective proof as true and real. This is why faith is essential in religions that revolve the ultimate. Likewise, Buddhism emphasizes the importance of faith, as illustrated in the Dhammapada verse we read at the beginning. Today we will explore the three primary objects of Buddhist faith: the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Now you might wonder why faith matters, or why it is so important in Buddhism, especially since Buddhism does not center on belief in God. In short, faith is also crucial in Buddhism because it is one of the necessary conditions for attaining enlightenment. Faith in Buddhism primarily serves the purpose of one's own enlightenment rather than simply glorifying a supreme being. Let's take a look at an overview of Buddhist faith through the Buddha and the Dharma and the Sangha. The followers of Buddhism first place their faith in the Buddha because he is the most venerated teacher. Through his enlightenment, the mind of the Buddha directly knew and understood ultimate universal truth and law, which governs the human mind and all physical phenomena. Then he shared his perfect vision and wisdom on how to penetrate ultimate truth through right practice to overcome suffering. In this way, the Buddha is the supreme teacher who guides humanity towards true happiness by sharing his teachings that are both true and useful. Faith in religion is what makes something ultimate to be regarded as real and true. Through faith, the followers of Buddhism perceive the Buddha and his supreme enlightenment as true and real. More importantly, this faith includes the belief that all humans can attain enlightenment as well. Thus, having faith in the Buddha means believing in oneself to achieve enlightenment through one's own effort and strength. This is the fundamental message the Buddha reveals to the world as the supreme teacher. So the followers of Buddhism have faith in and pay homage to the Buddha because he is the most venerated teacher for true happiness. The second primary object of Buddhist faith is the Dharma. In Buddhism, the Dharma basically means both ultimate universal truth and law, and the Buddha's teaching about truth. Through his enlightenment, the mind of the Buddha directly realized ultimate universal truth and law, which the Buddha called the Dharma. In a Buddhist scripture, the Buddha says that he merely discovered the Dharma, which is timeless and eternal. After discovering and realizing the Dharma, the Buddha gave the world his teaching, which he also called the Dharma. Then the knower of truth walked across vast regions of the Indian subcontinent to share the Dharma, his teaching, for the happiness of all sentient beings. Without faith in the Dharma, people would not accept or believe that The Buddha's teachings are rooted in ultimate universal truth and law for addressing human suffering and leading to liberation from suffering. Thus, faith in the Dharma plays a crucial role in following and practicing the Buddha's teaching. Faith makes people open their hearts to the Dharma, enabling them to practice it in their lives. As people put the Dharma into action, their faith deepens as they begin to see its transformative power on their minds and experiences of life. This brings about sustainable happiness. Eventually, those who have faith in the Dharma overcome their suffering through their own enlightenment. In this way, the Dharma becomes a primary object of Buddhist faith. The Dharma of Buddha's teaching guides people to understand the Dharma of ultimate universal truth and law. By faith, people put the Dharma into practice so they can live according to the Dharma. As with the Buddha, the followers of Buddhism pay homage to the Dharma because it is the most precious for attaining true happiness. Last but not least, the Sangha is one of the primary objects of Buddhist faith. Because above all, the Sangha serves as direct evidence that the Buddha and his enlightenment of the Dharma are real and true. As I mentioned, the most fundamental message of Buddhism is that the human mind can attain enlightenment, the highest forms of happiness through right practice. After hearing the Dharma, people practice the Dharma with faith. As a result, they attain enlightenment or reach significant levels of spiritual attainment. The Buddha called these individuals the Sangha. Buddhist scriptures illustrate that the precise and narrow meaning of Sangha does not refer to all monastics, such as Buddhist monks and nuns. Rather, the Sangha, regardless of monastic status, refers to noble individuals who have attained spiritual realization. The group of the individual is called the Four Paths and Four Fruits. The Sangha becomes an object of faith in Buddhism because the Sangha demonstrates the transformative power of the Dharma to develop and complete the potential of the human mind. The Sangha in Buddhism serves as living examples that humanity of all people has the potential to attain enlightenment. The Buddha included the Sangha as one of the primary objects of Buddhist faith. It is because without the Sangha, Buddhism could not exist in human history. After the demise of the Buddha, the Sangha collected, preserved, and passed down what the Buddha taught during his 45 years of mission teaching the Dharma. Throughout history, the Sangha has carried the light of the Dharma. This novel community of Buddhism makes it possible that Buddhism remains accessible to current and future generations. These are the essential roles of the Sangha in Buddhism. The Sangha not only validates the Buddha and the Dharma as true and real, but also protects and upholds Buddhism in the world up until today and for the future. This is why the Sangha is one of the primary objects of Buddhist faith. When people wanted to follow the Buddha after hearing his teaching, the Buddha asked them to take refuge in himself along with the Dharma and the Sangha together. By saying aloud, "I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha," they identify themselves as the disciples of the Buddha. This formal expression of the three refuges is a declaration of Buddhist faith. These three primary objects of Buddhist faith are called the three jewels or triple gem. The three objects are called jewels because they represent what is the most valuable in life for true happiness. Taking refuge in the three jewels offers not only guidance in daily life for sustainable happiness, but also the promise of eternal happiness, which is liberation from suffering through enlightenment. Based on faith in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, people embrace the life that has a secure shelter free from suffering. Thus, the three jewels shows the triangular structure of Buddhist faith. In that triangular structure, each of the three jewels supports and reinforces the others. The Buddha reveals the Dharma. The Dharma is preserved and practiced by the Sangha. And the Sangha helps people understand and follow the Buddha and the Dharma for the happiness of the world. This interdependence of the three jewels completes Buddhism. Historically, the act of taking refuge has been central to Buddhist faith. Early Buddhist scriptures describe how the Buddha's disciples expressed their faith by declaring refuge in the three jewels. Over time, taking refuge has become a formalized part of Buddhist practice, rituals, ceremonies, and prayers. The recitation of three refuge checks, identifies, and strengthens one's faith in the three jewels by confirming that the path to enlightenment is supported by the wisdom of the Buddha, the truth of the Dharma, and the community of the Sangha. Thus, we have seen that faith is essential in Buddhism just as it is in other religions. However, the reason the followers of Buddhism must have faith is somewhat different than in other religions, which we will discuss in more detail another time. I hope you now have a better understanding of faith in Buddhism. Thank you and see you next time. May all of you always be happy and free from suffering.